on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I could not find my daughter for 9 years.
Dad's fighting to see his own child.
Now he's trying to take her away.
Because Grandma won't let her go.
He's missed out on first words, first steps. All we want is a chance to know this little girl.
You characterize this as this rotten, no-good rat wants to come in and rip this whole world apart.
I just want to see my daughter, and you're in the way.
I'm not in the way. Your daughter doesn't want to see you.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. How are you? Hey, guys. Well, 14-year-old Casey has been caught in the middle of a bitter battle that she wants absolutely no part of. Now, for the past 13 years, she's lived with the only mother she has ever known, and that's her grandmother, Sandy. Now, then 3 years ago, her father, Ted, tracked Casey down on Facebook and has been fighting for his rights as a father ever since. Now, you may wonder why he has to fight to see his own daughter. Well, Grandma Sandy refuses to let him near his own little girl. Take a look.
Because of my ex-mother-in-law, Sandy, I miss every important day of my 14-year-old daughter's life. Every tooth, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, braiding her hair even.
We've never been apart for more than 2 days.
Sandy stole my daughter when she was 1.5 years old. Sandy kept me from my daughter for the last 13 years.
I don't like having her away from me. I'm willing to do anything to keep her away from him. If it's illegal, legal. I'm doing what she wants, not what he wants. This is one of maybe the first drawings she ever really made of us. She's part of the family. She's our baby.
When my daughter was about 1 year old, me and my wife, we went through some rough times.
Ted got arrested for retail fraud and spent several months in jail. While he was in jail, my daughter divorced Ted, and I took care of my granddaughter. So I asked my daughter to sign temporary guardianship over to me in 2005.
Sandy took my daughter away from me and my ex-wife.
My husband and I had filed for full custody, which we got.
I could not find my daughter for 9 years.
Ted never once tried to visit his daughter. He could have found her if he wanted to. So we just had her for 12 years. And now he's trying to take her away. It's too late for Ted to become a father now.
I just want the chance to tell my daughter that I never would have walked away from her. I just want her to know the truth. I just want you to know that I love you always.
Well, Ted's wife, Tricia, has seen the toll this has taken on her husband, and she says she is convinced his daughter has Stockholm Syndrome. Take a look.
I do believe that Ted's daughter has Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when one holds someone captive and controls their emotions and their thoughts, that person being held captive resonates with their captor. One of the very first texts that he received from her said, "I know all about you, and all you've ever done is lie to me." Does she remember the carrots that he fed her in a high chair and said, "These are yum yum"? Because that should be the only conversation she remembers, if any. Ted's daughter has been fed the emotions that she feels, and I truly believe that Sandy has done that.
Let me be sure. We've looked at some tape pieces that have tried to kind of catch up the situation here. But you have been raising this child for the last 13 years?
Yes.
Okay, and this is your daughter's child. You're the maternal grandmother.
Yes.
Okay, and you were married to Jennifer, correct?
Correct.
But the two of you got a divorce.
We got a divorce.
All right, and how is it that your daughter wound up with her grandmother instead of with you?
When I got out of jail, I got served divorce papers, and while I was in jail, personal protection order, so I couldn't have contact.
Then the next thing you know, the baby's gone.
Everybody's gone, yes.
They just all poof.
Pretty much.
Okay. So the baby winds up with you.
Yes.
That you were married and your husband was tragically killed,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
He was actually shot.
Yes.
By a police officer?
Yes, in Detroit.
In Detroit. And you sued the city?
Yes.
And you were awarded over $2 million?
Yes.
And you ultimately take the child with permission from your daughter. She
Right.
grants permission.
Right.
And you take the child and move to North Carolina.
Right.
Eventually in 2005.
Yes.
Okay. And did you notify him that you were taking his child?
I had no idea where he was.
They all knew where I was at because they sent me divorce papers to my mom's house, and it's the same lawyer that she had for her lawsuit.
But you criticize him for not looking for the child until 2 years ago. You say you didn't have an address on him. How was he supposed to know where you were?
My daughter knew where I was. She had my address and everything. My phone number.
We didn't know where your daughter was either.
Where's your daughter now?
Prison.
So you have the baby now in North Carolina.
Yes.
And you find out about this, and so you say, I want to see my child.
Yep.
Okay. And you say no.
Yes, she didn't want to see him.
Why?
Well, she's a child. I'm asking,
I asked her
not
at
what she said.
13.
What did you say?
No, I said no at the time because she didn't know who he was at all.
Now, Ted says he searched for Casey, but always came up empty-handed until Casey's half-sister, Heather, sent Ted a link to his long-lost daughter's Facebook page and told him where she was living. Ever since then, grandmother Sandy quit talking to Heather. Take a look.
I'm 13 years older than my sister, so I've always been there to take care of her. I know that Sandy has completely brainwashed my sister. Sandy has said that our parents have walked out on her and never took care of her. Absolutely not true. Our mother has sent my sister birthday cards, Christmas cards, different gifts throughout the years, and it never got past Sandy. My sister never knew that our mother sent her anything. Sandy has told my sister that our parents have done a lot of drugs, and what she didn't tell her is that Sandy was part of it. I have witnessed Sandy take a handful of muscle relaxers and then maybe 2 hours later take another handful while drinking. Sandy has fallen down in front of my sister. She's driven with my sister and with me in the car while she was completely high. Sandy is not the person she portrays herself to be.
Okay, Heather, thank you for being here.
Hi.
What's going on here?
When I found Ted, I think he had the right to know where his daughter was. She was taken without him even knowing.
You had a relationship with Sandy.
She used to be my best friend.
You guys got along?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, but then you said she's a backstabbing
She is.
bitch.
She turned that way.
And why did you decide she was a backstabbing bitch?
I cut her off from Facebook because she was talking to him, and I don't want anything to do with him.
She told me on the
mad.
telephone when she called me, when she seen that I was talking to him, and told me, how could you do this to me? Calling me every name in the book, which I will not say on television.
No, I didn't.
And told me that I am no longer to have contact with my sister. I'm no longer going to speak to her at all. And she held up the phone and had my sister say in the background, I don't want anything to do with you.
I didn't have her sister do anything. Her sister made that choice.
I just want to see my daughter. Okay. And you're in the way. Whatever you
I'm not
feel
in the
about
way.
me.
Your daughter doesn't want to see you. That's
Why?
not
She doesn't
for
know
me.
anything about him because of you.
You know what? You
I
have not
said
taught her anything.
that is a lie because
You are a liar, Heather.
in front of me and in front of my sister, you said very negative things about her father, very negative things about our mother. No, not one time did she say anything to you. I asked her, do you know what our mother looks like? She said no. Why not? As her grandmother wants the best for her, she should at least know what her parents look like.
She knows all about her mom.
No, yeah, she knows everything negative.
all about her.
But thinks your mother Teresa.
Oh my God, no, she doesn't. She
And
loves
you
who
don't think
is.
she has a right to know her
can I
family?
speak, please.
She knows what she knows because of you. She never had a fair shot to know her father, to know me, to know her mother. She never had a fair shot.
You don't
That's
know
all
anything about this.
Guess what, bitch? I am the reason that we're here.
Bitch.
So don't tell me that I don't know anything.
There's an awful lot of accusations flying back and forth here.
Oh, and he's suing me for $11 million.
You'll be lucky if that's all you get.
Really looking for jail time for you.
And later, you characterize this as this rotten, no-good rat bastard wants to come in and rip this whole world apart.
Because that's what he wants to do now.
No, wait a minute.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. Is she a caring parent?
You say she'll give him spoiled milk.
You are a bad mother.
Or a party mom?
You're gone night and day. You cannot treat a child the way you do.
Okay, Virgin Mary.
Hold on. You can be quiet.
You're not gonna make me be quiet. Y'all both make me sick.
You know as well as I do that woman's raising your child instead of you.
She doesn't step back and let me be a mom.
Because if she did, he'd be dead.
That's tomorrow.
Heather is my granddaughter's half-sister. I think Heather's a backstabbing bitch. Heather knew I didn't want anything to do with Ted, but she told him where we lived. She told him a bunch of lies about what's going on in my home that she does not know anything about. So I think Heather should just mind her own business and leave us alone.
We just want to be able to have contact with my sister. That's all we want.
No, he wants to rip her out of the home and take her back to Michigan. Oh, and he's suing me for $11 million, too.
But I don't want to hurt you.
For your daughter, you're suing me for $11 million?
You'll be lucky if that's all you get.
Ooh.
Really? You're looking for jail time for you.
All I get?
Yes.
Really? Go for it. This is why I don't want her around them. All they want to do is, you know, bring up everything else.
We have all missed out on so much. He's missed out on first words, first steps, first everything. That's all we want is a chance to know this little girl.
You do know her?
Yeah.
I don't.
What about when you would come to the state of Michigan and you would keep her from everybody and make sure and say, oh, don't tell anybody, don't let anybody know. That is the truth.
That's your truth, Heather.
That is the truth. Because you have told me
to announce on
make sure not to tell your mom that I'm here when I would come visit you when you would come up to visit in Michigan.
I didn't even know
and
where
you would
Jennifer was.
That's a bold-faced lie. I would be told, do not tell your mom where we are. I don't want her to have any contact with her.
So don't say that I've done it all wrong and you've done nothing. You left your mom at the age of 10 because of him.
If
she wouldn't live with her dad. Oh, hello.
If anybody's curious as to why I'm just sitting here
please interrupt
letting this nonsense go on, is because having been trained as a forensic psychologist and having been trained as a clinical psychologist, I've learned that observation is a very powerful tool in assessing a situation. And there's an awful lot of accusations flying back and forth here when I don't think you really have room to be pointing fingers. I just want to start getting some of the facts straight here. You guys say you think that she has Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes.
Okay, well, first off, I'm not sure that Stockholm Syndrome is even a real thing. This is something the media talks about a lot, but even among those who do think there is such a thing as Stockholm Syndrome, they all agree that there has to be a threat of death. So I think that's kind of overstating the situation.
Okay.
Nothing is black or white. I think there are some good things about what you've done. I think there are some bad things about what you've done. I think if you hadn't stepped up at the time you did, this child would have spun off into foster care, and God only knows what may have happened at that time. And in fact, I have found some Facebook posts where you have thanked her.
I did.
For some of the things that she has done, which seems to me to suggest that there are some rational bones in your body, because instead of being completely critical of her, you in fact thanked her for stepping into the void when somebody needed to do so.
I just want to be part of her life.
And you say that you are so threatened by him because he just wanted to come in and just rip her out of her life, rip her out of her activities, rip her away from her friends, and that was a horrible thing to do to a child. But as I have looked in here at the things that he has said, what he first proposed was exactly the opposite, was it not? Did he not say, I would just like to be introduced, reintroduced to my daughter in a very gradual sense so as not to traumatize her. Was that not what he said? I read that in writing.
It was a couple years ago, yes.
Okay, but yet you characterize this as this rotten, no-good rat bastard wants to come in and rip this whole world apart.
Because that's what he wants to do now to her.
No, wait a minute. No, listen. You surely, have you ever seen this show?
Yeah.
Do you really think you're going to play semantics with me and jump ahead in time?
No, I'm sorry.
You can't. I don't answer question A and you answer question. Question Z. Question A was, at the time, did he not say, I want to just gently introduce myself and ease into a relationship where I can see if I can...
Yes.
And didn't you stonewall that and say, ain't happening?
I just didn't reply to his letter. I asked Casey.
Would that be stonewalling?
Yeah, I guess.
So then he says, well, I'm going to go as a friend of the court to Michigan and see if I can assert my rights so I can have access to her. And at that point, even then, you say, no, sheriff, get off my property.
I did not say that.
Well, that's what they say you said.
The sheriff said that?
Yes.
Oh, that one that just recently, that one. That was way before. No. This was just recently.
Yeah. Did you drive 13 hours to get there to see your child?
Yes.
Did you get to see your child?
No.
So did you drive 13 hours back home?
Yes.
Okay. That's a fact. I mean, that's not up for debate. That's a fact.
I always asked her, do you want to talk to your mom? Do you want to talk to your dad?
You don't ask children to make adult decisions.
Well, she was 13.
Okay, so if we're setting the record straight here, he did not start this out
No, he didn't.
saying, I want to rip this child from her life. Hell with band camp, hell with friends, hell with her life, hell with everything that's going on. I'm ripping her out, taking her home with a stranger that she hasn't seen for 12 years, and she's going to have to start living with somebody she doesn't know instead of somebody that she has been with for the last 12 years. That's not how this started,
It didn't start that way, no.
Okay, but what you did is you escalated it to that point to where he has now had to assert his rights through the court because you thought you could just tell him to go jump, and you called his bluff and you lost, did you not?
I didn't want him taking her back to Michigan for 2 weeks of visitation or whatever. That's what he was trying to do. And she doesn't know him.
She would have. If you would have just responded.
You're asking her to go to Michigan with a stranger.
That wasn't what he asked to begin with, was it?
Not in the beginning.
No, but now.
He began with a very rational, reasonable request, and you thumbed your nose at him, and you caused this to escalate.
I guess. I always asked her, do you want to talk to your mom? Do you want to talk to your dad?
You don't ask children to make adult decisions.
Well, she was 13.
You don't ask children to make adult decisions.
I don't want to force her. I'm not going to force her.
If you are a healthy, reasonable adult influence in a child's life, then you will support her having a relationship with her biological parents should they present in a healthy and reasonable fashion.
But I'm not going to force her to leave the home she knows and go to Michigan. That's the thing.
You keep answering questions that you wish I was asking, so you could then, you want to set up a paper tiger and tear it down. So what you do is you answer the question you wish I had asked, so you look better.
Bad habit of doing that. No, I'm not trying to look better. I'm not.
You know, I still don't want to rip her out. I just want to be part of her life, period.
Then why do you text her and tell her that you're going to?
I didn't text her. I got every single text. Said I have the right. But I also told her...
And you don't think that scares her?
I also told her that we presented...
You know, if you really have her best interest at heart and you think that that best interest is to remain with you, then you ought to start figuring out a way to coalesce with this man, because if you think he doesn't have the right and the mechanism to come get that little girl and take her home with him, you could not be more wrong. The court has ruled that Michigan does have jurisdiction. Your custody has been voided in North Carolina, and you have no more right to that little girl than some kid across the street that you don't even know.
Thank you.
This isn't just about you, that it is about the child, and she does have a father who has a genuine right to be in this child, and a child who, despite her short-sighted vision, would greatly benefit from a healthy relationship with a stable father. Coming up, Casey reveals what she has been told about her father. We'll be right back.
Tell my dad to leave me alone. He doesn't care about me. He really just cares about him. My father's like a total stranger, and I don't want to get to know him or anything. I asked Dr. Phil to help because my father wants to take me to Michigan, and I don't want to go. My father's like a total stranger and all that, and I don't want to get to know him or anything. He ignores what I want to say. And he tries to make my grandmother sound like a bad person.
What has your grandma told you about your dad?
That he doesn't care about me. He really just cares about him. Because, like, he doesn't care about what I want. Because what I want is to stay here. He cares about what he wants. And then that he's done, like, drugs and all that. And that he lies.
What do you imagine your dad being like in person?
Awful. Scary. Because, like, in person, he could snatch me without, like, anyone knowing. Because, like, if I go in public, I always have to make sure I'm with, like, an adult or someone, just in case my father is, like, gonna, like, take me or something. I want to tell my dad to leave me alone.
Now,
how'd she learn that, Sandy?
Hey, Ted, I don't know. When she's asked me questions, I've answered them honestly. She's asked me if I've done drugs, and I've told her yes. I don't lie to her about it. She asked me about you and her mom, and I've told her the truth.
she was asked some very specific questions. Tell me what you know about your dad. Quote, I've been told that Ted lies.
He does.
I know that Ted has been to jail, but he won't tell me about that. I'm not sure if I've heard anything good about him. It is clear to me that you have poisoned her about her father.
I've never said anything about him until just the last year or so.
That's not
we never really discussed him that much.
Okay, that's like
yes,
saying, did you shoot this person? Well, I didn't shoot him till last year. Well, you still shot him.
I told her the truth. She asked me, and I tell her.
You don't recognize that alienating her towards her father is not in her best interest. Because let me tell you something. If that's how you see this, then we have a bigger problem than I thought. Because a positive influence in her life would support and encourage a healthy relationship between that child and her father, and you do not support and encourage that, shame on you.
I'm not saying I don't support him seeing her, visiting her. What I'm not supporting is him wanting to take her out of the home.
He's tried to just see her down there, and he won't let them.
May I speak, please?
Absolutely.
Casey texted him and told him she would visit.
And you may speak also, and you do not need her permission to speak.
Well, she just interrupts. Go ahead, then.
They've gone down there multiple times just to see her, and they get shot down at the door.
They never came to my door.
They were at the house.
How many times did you come to my door?
I mean,
once at the door when we went to court the day before. And the judge said she's staying.
The police, and once
the police came to my door twice. I wasn't even home.
Either way, you knew they were there. You knew they wanted to see her. That's
I knew
all
they were there after the fact.
You had the visitation schedule months ago.
I'm not allowing her to go to Michigan with a stranger.
It's not just going to Michigan. They just want to see her.
I'm not allowing her to go to a motel with a strange man. He doesn't get to know her. He wants to just take her to a motel for a weekend.
You won't even allow going to the park.
May I have a commitment from you to remain silent?
Sure.
Silent, silent, silent. Casey, are you on the phone?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. Is her daughter a party mom?
You're gone night and day.
That woman's raising your child instead of you.
She doesn't step back and let me be a mom.
If she did, he'd be dead.
That's tomorrow.
May I have the floor for a minute, please?
Sure.
May I have a commitment from you to remain silent?
Sure.
Silent, silent, silent.
Okay.
Casey, are you on the phone?
Yes.
I realize that you haven't been around your father since before you can even remember, so he's a complete stranger to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, I've met your father, and I've talked to him, and I can tell you that he seems to me to be a pretty nice guy. I've asked him what he wants. Does he want to, like, pick you up and move you to Michigan and have you make all new friends and start all over in a new school and all of that kind of stuff? And what he's told me is that absolutely not. He's not wanting to blow your life up. That what he wants to do is meet you and get to know you and just kind of take things one step at a time and kind of see if you guys get along. And that, I think that would start by, like, maybe going to lunch and see how that goes and see how y'all feel about that. Would you be open to that?
Yeah. I think so.
Do you have any fears about that?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And let me promise you something. I will give you my word. He's not going to snatch you up and take you to Michigan. And your grandmother completely and fully supports the two of you meeting and getting to know each other. Correct?
Yes. I support it.
Is there anything you want to say to your daughter?
I look forward to seeing you, and I love you very much.
Thank you.
The best thing in the world for her would be to build a healthy relationship with her father.
Okay.
You just have to hit the reset button and say, the past is over, it's behind us. Let's work on what's in her best interest. And the same thing with her. And, I mean, look at the two of you. Come on. Do you not miss that?
Sometimes I do.
Do you not miss that?
She used to be my best friend.
Look her in the eye. Look her in the eye. I want you to look her in the eye.
I'm very hurt by her.
Now, you can be right or you can be happy. I leave that to you. Okay. And it's going to say an awful lot about who you are. Okay. You need to see your daughter very, very soon.
I believe so, too.
And she will not obstruct that in any way whatsoever. And if she does, I want to hear about it.
Okay.
Don't do that.
I won't do it.
Okay. Next, do you know how to catch a liar? Well, you're about to meet someone who does. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and you want to watch a live studio taping of the Dr. Phil Show, go to drphil.com for free tickets or call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445. I'd now like to introduce my good friend, Dr. Art Markman, who has been on the show several times in the past. Dr. Markman has published over 150 scientific papers, developed training programs for billion-dollar companies, is a professor of psychology and marketing at the University of Texas, and I am proud to say is a member of the Dr. Phil Advisory Boards. And he has written a new book, which I think is just fascinating and fun. It is Brain Briefs, Answers to the Most and Least Pressing Questions About Your Mind, which he co-authored with his colleague, Dr. Bob Duke. And it's in stores right now. This book is made up of 40 chapters that explain various human behaviors in a lighthearted, fun, and easy-to-understand way. They even have a chapter on why do we love kitten videos so much. Tell me about this book.
Oh, it's, you know, Bob Duke and I, we do a podcast together, a radio show, right. And we really want people to understand their minds. Like we say, everybody we know has a mind, almost nobody knows how it works. And we feel like people would live their lives better if they knew. So we have a collection of short chapters, easy to understand, in plain language, to really answer some of the most pressing questions, some of which are really important, some not so much. Well, Robin's first question was, why do we love kitten videos so much? That's chapter 39. Yeah. So why do, because seriously, if you go online, some of these have like 500 million views. Yeah. And we watch them with the grandkids all the time. Baby everything is adorable. And the reason they're adorable is because they're annoying. I mean, if you've ever hung out with a human baby, I mean, I have 3 kids. It's hard after a while, right? Yeah. You look at them and they're crying and you don't know why, and then they look up at you with those eyes and you melt because they're so adorable. Well, with parenting, you get those moments of adorability every once in a while. What kitten videos do is concentrate that in a particular moment so that you can have it whenever you need that shot of joy. And so that triggers something in the brain. Absolutely, and it's that same mechanism that also makes you love your child so much when they're a baby. Well, in the book, you say it's actually very difficult to catch a liar from a truth teller. Why? Because we have all of these
you see it on the internet, all of these things, and like they look up to the left or this or that. Yeah. Why is it difficult?
Well, for one thing, we have to cooperate with people in order to be able to talk with them. So generally speaking, we're assuming that people are telling us the truth. So we're actually not really looking for lies. And then when we start looking for lies, we look in the wrong place. There are things that differentiate liars from truth tellers, but it's not a lot of those things that we end up looking for.
Okay, did you get that? Because every time Robin says, does this make me look fat? She says, oh, you looked up to the left. You looked to the left. Here's a quote from the book that I thought was really good. It says, liars say less overall than truth tellers. Interestingly, truth tellers talk less about their emotions than liars do.
The liars have to justify that they must have felt in a particular way because they're telling a story, not just to you, but to themselves, and they have to include all of that detail in there.
Before the show, we had the opportunity to observe human behavior in a fun way. Now, Art will tell us more about what happened earlier. Take a look here.
Come on in.
Behind this curtain is the Dr. Phil audience holding area where all of the audience members prepare to come into the studio. And today, we're conducting a little experiment. We've set up a long table. On the left side of the table, there are muffins and snack bars with a sign that says, please pick only one. The right side of the table, we've placed a collection of Dr. Phil's best-selling books, as well as Dr. Phil mugs, pens, and other items, with a sign that says, please do not remove. So how would a person act if they think nobody's watching? Well, we had hidden cameras to find out. Of the 200 people that passed through the holding area, most of them that approached the table respected the signs. They were honest. But I guess there were a few hungry people out there because on the food side of the table, there were audience members that ignored the sign. Some not only took just one, but also a few extra muffins or snack bars. That woman took not just one, not two, but 3 snacks. She must have skipped breakfast. On the Dr. Phil book and merchandise side of the table, some audience members picked items up and then put them back. But others were not so honest. Wait, look! What's that lady doing? This woman decided not only to check out a few items, she thought she'd slip a few pens in her purse. And look, this person's doing exactly the same thing.
All right, the audience members who took part in the experiment are here today. Now, Dale helped himself to extra snack bars from the Please Only Pick One table. What's your story?
Well, it looked like the sign was kind of more in front of the rolls than it was the granola bar, so I looked around and took a head count and said, well, there's more of these granolas in it or the muffins, so I just figured it'd be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks pretty clear to me. I mean, I don't know. That's your story. Okay. All right, Allie took an extra muffin from the Please Only Pick One table and claimed although she did see the sign, she took one anyway, well, because she was hungry.
Well, I only took one, and I was starving, and then I went back and got another one because I knew that my friend wasn't going to have one, so I kind of justified it to myself that I could have hers.
Okay, so what's the rationalization theory here?
You know, a lot of us, most of us like to think of ourselves as basically being honest people. We have this kind of self-concept. But on the other hand, when we're in the face of a temptation, it can be really hard to resist. And I think a lot of times what happens is we tell little stories to ourselves that allow us to maintain that belief that we're basically deep down honest people, and yet we still get away with a couple of things on the side.
Yeah, I kind of buy that, though. I mean, it's kind of like there's a muffin for everybody. Her friend didn't get one, so she ate her friend's muffin.
That's
I mean,
right. It all trades off.
I mean, I kind of buy off on that. Now, Lori got a couple of pens and stuffed them in her purse from the Please Don't Remove table. Were you just like magnet to the pens?
I rationalize it this way. Your staff unknowingly created the perfect storm for me. I have a pen fetish. My favorite color is blue. And I love Dr. Phil. Then I wanted to make sure I got some kind of remembrance since we couldn't bring our phones in.
Now, Regina, you don't have a pen fetish, do you?
No, sir.
You just grabbed a pen.
I wanted one, but she wouldn't give me one of hers, so I had to get my own.
So that's actually really interesting. There is something called goal contagion, where where what other people do creates a goal in yourself because we're a social species, and that is a perfect example of that. And so when you see somebody else doing something, then it makes you want to do the same thing. Now, hopefully you're standing next to somebody who's doing a good thing, and it makes you want to do a good thing, but it's not always the case.
All right, when we come back, I have a fun surprise for someone in my audience who I was told wants to take a huge risk but is terrified. Maybe Art can suggest what they can do with this crippling fear when we come back. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Okay, I'm back with Dr. Art Markman, and he has written a book called Brain Briefs, Answering the Most and Least Pressing Questions About Your Mind. And we've really been having a lot of fun with it if you've been watching. Now, we're going to do something else here in just a second, but I got a couple extra questions I want to ask. Multitasking. Yeah. Does it work? You have a chapter in here on multitasking. Does it work?
It does not. It turns out yeah, I know. You try and do two things at once, you get worse at both of them.
No, that's not true.
It is.
That's not true. I can watch TV, listen to music, and type at the same time.
And what you type is probably brilliant. Just as brilliant as it,
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. But that's the thing. We put ourselves in environments in which we try to do several things at the same time, and when we do that, we get worse at everything we're doing. We need to single task. We need to do one thing, and then do the next, and then do the next.
All right, Carol has been coming to sit in the audience here and see my show since season 1. We're 15 years in since season 1. She calls herself a super fan.
Oh my God.
Now, our producers invited her to see the show today and finally meet me face to face after 15 years. There's just one challenge. She says she has terrible stage fright. You've been coming like every month for 15 years?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And are you nervous now that I'm talking to you?
Yes.
Really? You watched even back when I was on Oprah, right?
Yes.
So
Every
you've been
Tuesday.
watching, I'm sorry?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, that's right. So you've been watching for 20 years.
Yes.
Now into the 20th year. What makes you nervous about being on stage?
Oh. Just being there. You're such a big presence, and you're just, oh my God. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to say to you because you're just like right on top of everything, and I'd be afraid I'd say something or fall over.
Yeah. She only slept 3 hours last night because she was so nervous, is what she said. But people can overcome these things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Not only can they should. The thing we know about being happy in life is exposing yourself to new opportunities creates these great memories that you'll carry with you forever. And a lot of times what we do is we say, I couldn't possibly do that. And then we don't have that memory later to hold on to. In fact, what we have is the memory of deciding we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so in many ways, look, I'm not saying, you should put yourself in harm's way, but you're not harm's way.
Yeah.
And I think that creating that opportunity, you think, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the fact is the downside here of being next to you is very small.
Come on, did you seriously think that we were going to talk about this and you weren't going to come up on stage?
Oh my God.
Come on. Come on.
You have warm hands.
I have warm hands?
My hands are very cold.
Well, why don't you sit in my chair?
Oh my God.
See?
Hey.
There you go. Now you're actually sitting in. You not only walked up on stage, you're actually sitting in the chair.
Your chair?
Yeah. How's it feel?
Oh, wonderful.
It's a good chair.
Oh, it's a nice chair.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
So do I look better or worse up close?
Oh, better.
Better?
Yeah, I'm just always good.
Good answer. Good answer. So why have you been watching for all this time?
I get you. This ain't my first rodeo. It's like, I just love, you're funny.
Yeah.
You're right on and you get people.
And you said that if you came up here that you would just be struck dumb and wouldn't know what to say.
Pretty much.
Did you realize how much you've been talking since you got up here?
Because I'm comfortable.
There you go. See, you would have never known that if you hadn't come up here.
I know.
So you're right. See, she created this. Now she's up here, and we're going to get real close here and look at that camera, and there's going to be a great picture right there.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
All right. Dr. Markman, thank you so much for being here. You need to go buy Brain Briefs today, and everyone in the audience is going home with a copy. Guest today. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. You can wait right here. Thanks so much.